Hey, how's it going? Hans Schaff here, coming to you from the riverbanks of the Colorado River in Colorado. Driving through the Rockies right now, just west of Glenwood Springs. And today I want to talk about tiny homes. What is a tiny home? First of all, a tiny home is just a small house, but it's a lot more than that. And I want to share some information here and some perspective, because a lot of people, I don't think, really get this new trend. And it's not even really that new, it's just really starting to catch on and become more and more popular. There's a lot of reasons for that, which I'll share here in a minute. But I talk to some people and they don't get it. I can tell by the look and by the way they talk back when I explain to them. They don't get it. They don't see it. They relate to other things, and just in their relating of other things, I can tell they don't understand the idea. Maybe it makes sense to them, but they don't see themselves ever being able to live that lifestyle. And it's not for everybody. But just so you can understand why tiny homes is really starting to pick up and why it's so exciting and really the many benefits of it, let me share a little bit of information. First of all, a tiny home is not, like, downsizing to a tiny home is not actually giving up part of your life. It's not actually going backwards. It's actually moving forwards. And that's, I think, one of the biggest misconceptions that people have. For years, we've all been taught, the American dream is to buy a big house. You get a pay raise, what do? You get a bigger house, and you just keep getting a bigger and bigger house, just to keep up with the Joneses, right? And what does that mean? I mean, it means you're paying for more space, which means you got more space to heat, more space to cool, more space to insure, more space to pay, or more expense really to pay for real estate taxes, and more space to upkeep, maintain, repair, and clean. I used to live in a 5,000 square foot house in Hampton Cove, Alabama. A 3-car garage, 7 bedrooms, like 4.5 or 5.5 bathrooms, pool, spa, nice yard, homeowner association, tennis courts, the whole 9 yards, right? It was nice. I enjoyed it. What I did not enjoy was the $4,000 mortgage payment. I can't even remember what the taxes were on it, probably $2,000 a year, which is probably low for most places in the country. This is Alabama, so they're going to be low. And granted, that same size house in California, you'd probably be making $8,000 payments on it. It's 3 levels, had a really nice kitchen, nice furniture to boot. We had to spend, I think, $12,000 in furniture just to furnish the house to make it look nice. I mean, just to kind of fit with the image, with the area, what was there. It was $20,000 worth of furniture we bought for $12,000. So, I mean, there was just a lot of expense for this house, and it was always one of my dreams, right, to have a nice big house and all this. And it was for, at the time, me and my wife and 2 dogs, right? I mean, that's essentially, we had this massive house. We lived on one level. Then there was a basement with another room and a whole upstairs that, we used for offices. But, I mean, there were like 3 or 4 guest rooms. Who needs 3 or 4 guest rooms in a house? Why pay, all this extra money each month just to have some guest rooms in case somebody comes to town, in case your whole family and all your friends come to town all at one time, right? Sorry, I had to pull my radar detector out. It's kind of beeping. But why spend, all that money each month? You're throwing it away. What's it for? And again, this whole thing about, and Kiyosaki is one that really helped point this out to me. But this was, even though I still wanted the big house, right? But he was the one that made it very clear. Your house is not an asset. I mean, it is an asset. It's just not your asset. It's a liability for you. It's an asset for the bank. You make payments on it, and basically they own you. The bank owns you, and you have to continue to make payments. You're a slave to the bank, and if you ever get behind in your payments, guess what? You lose the whole house, no matter how much you've paid. I mean, you could have spent 29 years with 30-year mortgage paying down the mortgage, and yet if you default for 3 months in a row, boom, house is gone, pretty much, right? So there's the huge drawback there, which I'll get into in a minute. But back to this concept about this house that I had in Hampton Cove, it was ridiculous. We'd spend our weekends pretty much cleaning the house. And I much would have rather been out enjoying the outdoors, playing tennis, going for a bike ride, walking the dog, playing soccer, traveling, whatever, instead of cleaning the house, right? Okay, yeah, we could have paid for a maid or somebody to come through and clean the house. It would have been several $100s more per month. I mean, just more expense, right? It got old pretty quick. And I don't know if you're in a house right now and you're thinking, man, I want a bigger house. I want more space. The only reason you want more space is because you got too much crap. I'm being honest. The amount of stuff that we accumulate over the years that we get attached to, some worse than others, but we all tend to hold on to stuff. And when you really think about it and you really pare it down, which is the kind of the terminology they use in the tiny home movement, I guess. They call it paring down, when you get rid or offload a bunch of your junk that you don't need. You realize how much stuff you really don't need, and that's that baggage that you're carrying around that's really holding you back in all areas of your life. This video is actually kind of going in all different directions, kind of getting me passionate here. But see, I got divorced about a year ago, 9 months to a year ago, and that's when I had to go through a lot of this old stuff that I've been carrying around from house to house to house. You know, I've lived in California. You know, went to school in, I'm born and raised in Sacramento, right? Went to school in San Diego, lived in Lake Tahoe, lived in England, lived in Germany, lived in Wales, lived in Alabama, and I'm moving to Colorado soon. And all these different places, I've been taking stuff, bringing stuff with me, carrying it around, loading the U-Haul, all this and all that. And, you know, you realize how much junk you've got. I mean, I had boxes of just unopened mail. I mean, it was ridiculous. So it was a difficult process, you know, with the divorce and all, a lot of emotions there too. Just, you know, having to kind of get through and go through a bunch of this stuff. But I'll tell you, it's such a freeing feeling of getting rid of a bunch of junk. Stuff that you're never going to open, you're never going to use, never going to refer to anyway. You hold on to old magazines, you know, all sorts of, you know, old clothes, all the stuff that, you know, you think has got sentimental value. And there's other things you can do with it. You can repurpose it. You can make clothes into a quilt. That's something you're actually going to use, or make it into pillows. I've seen stuffed animals made out of clothes, out of old sweaters and things. You can take pictures of things that have sentimental value, that take up a lot of space, that you're never going to use, but just want it because you don't want to get rid of it. Take a picture of it, take a video of it, you know, and you've got that, and you can store it digitally. That'll store up a bunch of space. So my point is, we have all this extra space that we're paying for each month, thinking that, you know, we're better off and that we're feeling good, but really it's holding us back. And again, it's not for everybody. Some people, they really cling to that extra space, they cling to the big house, and that to them that gives them purpose, it gives them value, it gives them meaning. Okay, more power to them, I guess, you know, but really, you are not your house, and you're not your job, just like you're not your car, you're not your anything else, but you are a sum total of your experiences, right? I mean, that's all that you basically can leave with. You look back in the past, and really all that you've got is the experiences, the memories of it all, which you can capture on video and photography and stuff like that. But really, you know, you are not your job or your house. So, but that's a topic for another discussion, right? Really, I started to go off on tangents. I just realized there's so much here in this topic.